This infamous anime opens with Rance pacing back and forth, visibly agitated. He's desperate to figure out how to counter Yulong's fearsome ultimate skill, but inspiration eludes him. Turning to Melon Willis for advice, he's met with a raised eyebrow and a suggestion to rely on sheer luck, a notion Rance finds infuriatingly unhelpful. Meanwhile, Pulp, noticing his frustration, asks if he's truly planning to take on Yulang. Confident as ever, Rance smirks and assures her it'll be a breeze. However, a stranger in the bar overhears and bluntly declares that Rance doesn't stand a chance. Insults fly, and a scuffle breaks out before Pulp steps in to restore order. As calm returns, the city guard bursts into the bar, calling for Rance. Curious, Rance demands to know what this is about. The guard removes his mask, revealing himself as the Ninja Master. Rance had battled not long ago. The Ninja Master thanks him for their previous fight and hands him a peculiar scroll, claiming it has the power to alter personalities. Intrigued but skeptical, Rance pockets it and returns to plotting his strategy, casually tossing around the bizarre idea of greasing Yulong's sword to make it slide off him. To his surprise, the others in the bar actually agree with the plan, with Pulp offering her full support. Later in the day, as Rance strums a tune on his instrument, Syl comes running toward him, calling his name. Pretending not to recognize her, Rance watches with amusement as she whines in frustration. After a brief exchange, he bonks her on the head for not coming sooner, then asks for her help in preparing for his duel. But instead of focusing on his request, he finds himself distracted by her quirky dual melons. Syl then proposes that Rance coat himself in oil to render Yulong's sword ineffective. Rolling his eyes, Rance dismisses the idea as ridiculous and bonks her again. Amused by her antics, he decides to test the scroll the Ninja Master gave him. The result? Syl's assertiveness skyrockets. She quickly pins Rance to the ground and flips their training dynamic on its head, pushing him harder than he ever expected. After an intense session, she collapses, and Rance takes a moment to grumble about her newfound boldness. However, when he slips on the oil she left behind, he begrudgingly considers the practicality of her idea. Determined to test his theory, Rance heads to the shop for supplies, only to balk at the exorbitant prices. He tries to swipe some ingredients, but Patty, the shopkeeper, catches him in the act and activates a shocking security measure. Literally. Humiliated, Rance complains about the cost, prompting Patty to offer him a chance to win the ingredients in an eating contest. Never one to back down from a challenge, Rance devours an entire plate of noodles, which he regrets later as he stumbles home bloated and defeated. The next day, at the Grand Coliseum, Rance finally faces off against Yulong. With an air of confidence, he taunts her, declaring that he'll claim her Ghostbuster sword as a prize. Yulang laughs, clearly unimpressed, but her amusement turns to surprise when her sword glances off Rance's greased-up armor, throwing her off balance. Rance seizes the moment, forcing her into a fierce duel. Despite her excitement at his unconventional tactics, Rance's skill and preparation ultimately overwhelm her. Declared the victor, he accepts Yulong's surrender with a smug grin. Later, Yulong reluctantly hands over her sword, but is startled when Rance suggests a celebratory rematch in a private guest room. Though initially resistant, she eventually agrees, and the intense duel leads to a shift in her personality as she finally accepts that maybe she isn't a warrior in the Colosseum, but is most definitely a warrior in bed. As they part ways, Rance can't resist advising her to wear more appropriate attire, though Yulong firmly reminds him she's not one to be owned. Well, she definitely got owned in bed, if you know what I mean.
Deep in the night, fear takes its hold.